Good evening, everyone. I'm Rishi, and I'm going to be taking you through today's update on the state of weather here in the United States. There is quite a bit to talk about, so I'm not going to really mince words, so let's just get right into it. First off, I do want to touch on the California snow situation, as that is still a problem that they are having to deal with out on the Pacific coast. In California specifically, there are some areas that are still forecast to have extreme impacts according to the Winter Storm Severity Index issued by the WPC, or Weather Prediction Center. These areas are mostly confined to the mountains, thankfully, in the Sierra Nevada specifically, with some areas being forecast to receive another possibly up to 5 feet of snow over the next 2 days. Thankfully, it should remain mostly confined to the mountains and higher elevations. That being said, however, there is some more pressing information that I want to get out to you. That being a major severe outbreak upcoming for the next 2 days. The beginning of March is going to truly be a bit of March madness, if you care to excuse the pun, especially when it comes to March 2nd. On March 1st, tomorrow, there is a slight risk in place right now, most of which is in the state of Arkansas, which is why I have NWS Little Rock and a couple of their graphics here on this slide. There is a little bit of a tornado potential. It's not very high for tomorrow. There is some strong winds potentially, maybe up to quarter-inch size hail also likely in the state. However, March 2nd is going to be the main event, and I'm going to be talking about that more in a second, but I do want to at least point out that the NWS out of Little Rock is actually expecting for this system to be rather potent for the state. And it is very important that if you live in Arkansas that you are watching this very closely, as your National Weather Service is as well. So here's the state of weather as it stands at this exact moment. As of the time of recording, there is a pretty wide swath of possible snow extending from Utah all the way up to the US-Canada border, all the way down to Wisconsin. There's also some snow still falling here in New England, but that is tapering off as this storm moves off the shore. Now, bear in mind, the storm that just impacted New England is the same one that produced the severe weather just a couple nights ago. The storm systems that you can see on the coast of California right now are the ones that we're going to be talking about today. There is also a little bit of activity that's going to be coming attendant with another system that is currently over Mexico, but that is going to be the focus of the first severe event of these first 3 days of March. So let's get right into it. So here's a weather model. This is the North American model, or the NAM as we call it for short. You can see that low move inland off of California. As it gets to Texas, it all of a sudden really explodes into that severe weather outbreak. It then proceeds to become a little bit of another wintry mess for New England, but really it's not going to be as important as what is going to come. So you can see first some showers and storms pop up ahead of that low. It then rockets its way through, and it still is persistent as the line that it has is it going through the Carolinas. So this is going to be a multi-day outbreak, unfortunately, and I'm going to try to take you through each day individually. So first off, tomorrow, March 1st, we have a slight risk currently in place. That is a level 2 out of 5. It extends from far northeast Texas through south central Arkansas into south central Tennessee. It does include portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama as well. This is an all hazards slight risk. There is a 5% tornado risk, a 15% wind risk, and a 15% significant hail risk in place. Significant hail being those of baseball size or greater. So this is, however, sadly, just the pregame show for the severe weather outbreak, and the next day, March 2nd, is where the big boys really show their hand, where we have a rather substantial enhanced risk in place. This was introduced as a day 5 enhanced, without any warning. Normally, we go from predictability too low or potential too low to there being a 15% unextended day, then we go to 30%. This went straight to 30% on the 5 days out, which is really not something you usually see from the Storm Prediction Center. So it is currently a level 3 out of 5 risk. It goes from northeast Texas all the way back into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, to be exact, out almost to the Mississippi-Alabama border, including parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and a little sliver of Tennessee. This is the real event, however. The entire enhanced and slight risk areas are going to be primed for severe weather pretty much the entire day. And it really is a true regional outbreak possible for the 2nd of March. Now, that means that there is going to be all hazards on the table. The storm mode is still a little uncertain. It could be linear, it could be supercells, we don't know. But regardless of what happens, this storm system is going to be very potent and it requires a lot of attention. So if you live in these areas, it's very important that you pay attention. Now, it is also worth noting that there is a moderate risk for flash flooding as well. Now, this is for the northern parts of Arkansas. It's extending into Missouri, a little bit of Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Now, moderate risk of flash flooding means that if you live in an urban area, it is very likely that the streets will be covered in water. And it doesn't take very much water to sweep you off your feet to float your car. So it's very important that you are not standing outside in standing water or running water for that matter, as you don't know what's really floating in the waters that are going to be covering the streets. So again, this is the main event. There's going to be some flooding going on. There will be severe weather as well, but at this time, we just don't know for sure what the mode's going to be. That will come in tomorrow's update. Now, the 3rd of March, however, is basically the after party of the outbreak. It's still going to be occurring, most likely. This is extending all the way from Alabama, all the way into portions of North Carolina. It does include parts of Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, Georgia, actually almost the entire state of Georgia, the entire state of South Carolina, and a little bit of Florida. Now, the severe weather from the previous day, March 2nd, it is going to persist as it moves east through the country, and that is why we have this large 15% in place. We're not really sure what's going to be going on during this day, but the situation does appear to be at least upticking in intensity as the models are suggesting. Unfortunately, we just don't know for sure whether or not that's going to verify, but we will see as time goes on and the day comes closer. So, when it comes to fire risk, as the storm system moves into the Texas area, it is going to bring it with it some very high winds. And out ahead of the storm, the air and the ground is going to be relatively dry. These high winds and dry ground and fuel will mean that wildfires are going to be very easy to start. They may auto-ignite, or if someone is very non-careful with their flammables, they may accidentally start a wildfire. There is a critical risk in place for today and tomorrow, that being the 28th of February and the 1st of March, that extends from southeast New Mexico all the way up through eastern Texas, or western Texas, my mistake. And that does continue into tomorrow. For the 2nd of March, the critical fire risk will be more localized to the south part of Texas, with it being more along the Rio Grande River. So it is very important that if you are in these areas that you avoid open burning, and if you happen to see any fires that you do not try to fight them, as it is very likely that winds will be whipping them to move extremely quickly. So remember, watches and warnings are not the same thing, but they are very important to take note of regardless. A watch basically means that the conditions are there for organized severe weather to occur. And so basically what that means is that all the ingredients are there. They may not be coming together just yet though, especially not for your area. It is very important that you are prepared whenever these are issued, whether they be a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch. Make sure you're monitoring sky conditions and you know where to take shelter if you are under a watch. If you're under a warning, that means a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. That means that you are in the path of something that could potentially lead to harm. In that case, you need to take shelter at that time. Remember, innermost room of your house or building, or into a basement or dedicated storm shelter. Those are your best bets. So what can you do? So first off, when it comes to thunderstorms, make sure that you are trimming your trees and you pick up any loose items. You anchor them to the ground as best you can. If you cannot anchor them, you bring them inside, whether it be into a shed or into your garage. That way, if high winds do occur, items are not being blown around your yard. Make sure that you get others inside at the first sign of thunder or lightning. Remember, if you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning, as lightning has a range of about 12 miles from the parent storm. So, as a rule of thumb, you wait at least 30 minutes wait 30 minutes after you hear thunder to go back outside. If you hear thunder restart the timer for 30 minutes, and just stay inside. When it comes to tornadoes, it is very important that you know where to go and you can get there quickly. So some of these storm modes that are coming, you may not have a lot of time to get to shelter. You may have less than 5 minutes in some cases. So you want to make sure that wherever you are in your home, that you can get to shelter within 5 minutes. That, again, same as with a severe thunderstorm. Lowest level of the building, preferably a basement or dedicated storm shelter. Make sure you can get there as quickly as you can, and make sure that you have some way to receive warnings, whether it be on your phone or a dedicated NOAA weather radio. So, with the flooding concerns, however, it is very important that you and your neighbors know where to go in the case of a flash flood. Waters can rise very quickly, which can lead to you being caught by surprise, especially if you're in a car. So, if flooding is expected, make sure you help others to elevate and protect their belongings, as usually flash floods are rather slow moving in the grand scheme of things. They can still rise extremely quickly over the course of only a few minutes, but thankfully, flash floods do tend to take their time, at least when it comes to motion wise. So you have a little bit more time to prepare once the flash flood warning comes through. That being said, you should still rush any sort of preparations that you have to completion if a flash flood warning is issued. Now, after storms, you make sure you check on your neighbors and you help keep others out of the floodwater. Wait for it to recede, wait for it to dry up, and then go outside, as again, you don't know what's floating in that water, and chances are it's also pretty contaminated with bacteria and possibly chemicals if it gets into the wrong areas. So, as always, we do have our Discord link down in the description below. You can go ahead and join us there, where we will give you as much up-to-date information as we possibly can throughout this event. I've been Rishi, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.